comment, like, and subscribe. All right, it's Sunday, June the 2nd, and how you like the new shirt though? Give you the full effect there. And you probably can't see the back, but let me do this. It's got the TTSaleens on it. Anyway, got the TTSaleen up here on the lift. Get ready to put the exhaust bag on it, which is the X pipe, and the MagnaFlow mufflers go to the tailpipes. But for now, you can see how I had to concoct something just to give me some turnouts away from the transmission. And this one points down a little more than this side, so I had to have this little elbow, but it works fine. It needs some extra space between your wideband sensor from the Holly, so you have to have at least 12 to 18 inches there, so I accomplished that. But everything under here looks great. There's 0 leaks. Transmission did a marvelous job. This dump valve I got worked really good. It spooled up really fast on the trans brake. So I'm getting ready to put the exhaust on, take these little pieces off, bolt everything up. I've already put the factory seats back in it. That's the race seat out of it there. I'm getting ready to take the Mickey Thompsons off, and I'm putting the street Nitto tires back on it, and we'll be good to go. So just like that, went from racy race last night to streety street today. What's up, YouTube? So today I'm gonna go over my passes from the track, give you some insider information as to the TTSaleen. And because I didn't give you a shot in the last video, this is what it looks like under hood. It's an iron block 5.4, basically truck motor, but it's a brand new block from Ford. GT supercar heads, which basically the Ford GT from the mid 2000s, heads and cams is what's on the car. They've been ported. It's got a Sullivan intake manifold, which looks like a carburetor style with the hat on it. It's been modified to fit the GT40 heads because they are really meant for navigator heads. Air-to-air intercooler, which you can kind of see right there with the blow-off valves. And twin 67mm turbos. These turbos are very old. They're from 2008, 2009. Very old Garrett turbos called the Big Kahunas, but they work really well in my combination. Other than that, diamond pistons, Oliver billet rod, steel crank. Nothing real exotic, not really. Holly EFI system, which Terminator X, with Bosch 210 injectors, which these extensions to make it fit with the Sullivan rails. And other than that, transmission dipstick, turbo 400 with a catch can for the 400. And it looks really nice and packaged. Shout out to formerly Fastlane Motorsports, now it's basically Melvin Skinner, who built the motor, Skinner Performance, and his son Caleb Skinner, who runs F and Rowdy Customs, and he did the fabrication for the turbo kit. So overall, this was built in 2009. Took me about a year to get it built and ready. You'll notice it sits up kind of high in the front. That's because we have 1-inch spacer blocks between the motor and the K-frame. And what it does is it actually lowers the motor but raises the car so it would clear. Even with this huge cow hood, it still didn't want to clear all this piping and everything. If you look from the side, you can see how tall it actually is. But it does clear with this cow hood on it. The problem is I can't really lower the ride height because the way my pipes are, and it's hard to see, but my pipes under here actually hit the arm, the control arms there, the steering rods, and it makes it where it can't steer, so it's not good. So you have to keep it that ride height, which is a little higher than I want, but it's fine. Other than that, right now it's back to street, which is the 18x10 Saleen wheels. That's a 295/40 by 18 Nitto 555 G2. And just give you a quick glance. It does have the stock seats back in it. They look like that. And I'll show you part of what I wanted to get into today was my boost leash controller. And then we're gonna hit this setting. This tells you my launch was 14 pounds, which you'll see in a minute, it wasn't that high. And then I have 2 stages of boost. The first stage, as soon as I let go of the trans brake, it ramps in. The higher this number, the faster it ramps in. That's a 20. And it goes to 20 pounds. Now, basically, whatever this reads is 2 pounds higher than actual, so it's actually about 18 pounds. And then in stage 2, with 0.8 of a second, a slower rate, which is 0.5, it slowly brings it in from 20 to 26, which realistically is about 24 pounds. And then I have on the scramble 4 pounds. So what happens is I come in here, I hit the trans brake button here, launch, and as soon as I launch, you'll see my thumb right here on this button. When I push this button, it adds in scramble. Watch my controller, see the S when I hit it for scramble. Okay, now that you got a basic idea of what we've got, let me talk about it. All right, so in this first vid, what I'm gonna show you is I'm gonna zoom in on the boost gauge when I'm on the line, and you'll see it's barely at 5 pounds of boost when I launch. And then once I launch, you can watch the boost gauge actually move and what it's going to, and see if you can pick out what the boost was on that pass. All right, for the second pass, I'm gonna do the same thing, zoom in on the boost gauge. You can see in my controller, still set the same. I set it for 14 pounds. So basically I added 2 pounds of what I had. And you'll notice here it is 2 pounds higher, but I don't know if it's just being on the 2-step, don't have as much exhaust energy with the turbos or whatever, but it's only about half what I'm commanding it. I'm commanding it to be 14, and you clearly see it's at 7 pounds there. So some things I need to look into on that if I want to go back. This explains why the 60 foot didn't get a lot better. It didn't leave as hard. It still left, but it didn't leave hard. I wanted to really hit the tires and maybe try to pull the front end or just get a better 60. I do have the front end tied down. I have it where it'll extend some, but I can tighten it down even more. But I wanted to see if it needed that kind of motion to make it hook, and clearly it was working fine at the track. You'll notice in this particular pass, you'll see the camera, well, from this angle you can't see it, but my camera from the window, you could see it started to vibrate at the top of first gear. That's tire shake. And the reason it was, I think it was nothing with the car, I think it was the track. I literally ran after a bunch of street cars did a round robin twice. So I sat there and watched cars run for at least 40 minutes before I got to make a pass. And they were not normal. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's people in their street cars, they don't know to pull around the puddle and back in. They go through the water, they drag it up on the line. And anyway, if you'll notice in my video, I drive around the puddle, I back up into it with my back tires, I do my burnout, and then I stage up. Just because if you drive your front tires through it, guess what? They're gonna pick up moisture and water, and they're gonna put it right in front of where you're trying to launch. So just a tip for you guys that are just starting to drag race, drive around the puddle. Don't drive through it. I like the new shirt though, right? Overall, just want to give you kind of a recap of the track visit and thanking people that I didn't thank because it was late at night and I was excited. And as you can tell, I was just kind of, shocked and excited how the car ran. But first thing, the motor, it wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for Melvin Skinner. I worked for Melvin for a long time. We've been friends for 24 years now. And he built the motor in it originally back in 2008. Next, I want to thank Caleb Skinner. He runs F&R Audi Customs. Him and I worked together at Fastlane with his dad Melvin back when Fastlane was a thing. Now he's out on his own doing his business, but he's the one that helped design and fabricate this turbo kit, from the inlet pipe to the headers to the intercooler. He did a fantastic job. I've not touched any of that since this car was built. From there, Dr. EFI, Project Gotta Go, Andrew Baroden, he gave me the base tune for my Holley Terminator X. His tune ran great. But when I put it on the dyno, it was super conservative. So I ended up tweaking the timing on it, talking to good friends of mine like Todd Wester, Josh Kinsey, Billy Barnhouse. We went over to Josh Kinsey's dyno and we spent a couple of times there dialing it in on E85. and we end up adding significant amount of time into it. But what's funny is even going down the track at 28 pounds of boost, it's still got 18 degrees of timing. It's not super aggressive. I could put more timing in it, but the way I look at it, why? If I can set it conservative where it runs great, I don't have to keep messing with every pass, why wouldn't I do that? Then I've got Jason at Wicked Performance in Raleigh, North Carolina. He built my Turbo 400 for me, and he made it perfect. I mean, as you can see in the videos, it shifts right now, right on time, zero issues. Drive around on the street, never gets over 180 degrees. And from there, I've got Brady at Circle D. He set up my converter for me. We had to send it back once and put a mechanical diode in it for street use. And ever since we did that, it's been running perfect. And the stall's pretty good. It's a little lower than what we had originally, which would probably be better if it was the higher stall for the track, but for the street, it is absolutely perfect, rock solid. And I talked about Jason Brazel Performance Fabrication. He did the internal roll bar in it and subframe connectors, and he put an anti-sway bar under the back of it. And yeah, I mean, it drives like a dream. It's straight as an arrow going down the track. And when you feel comfortable in a car, you can go fast. It's not all over the track. It doesn't feel unsafe. So I hope you enjoy this video, just trying to give you some in-depth behind the scenes with my boost controller, how I run the car, what I do with the car, how I launch it. I feel like if I could have launched with more boost, like at least 10 to 14 pounds of boost on the starting line, it would have been a completely different monster off the line. Hopefully it wouldn't have broke nothing. You know, being over 3,835 pounds of me in it, it's a heavy girl. So some cool stuff's coming out this year. I'll take the Mach 1 back to the track. I'd like to get the Pontiac back to the track, get my 1099. It's been 11.0, but no 1090s yet. So I owe it to that car to run a 1090 in it. And the Mach 1, if I could get a 1030 or 1020 out of it, I'd be super stoked with it. And other than that, maybe one day I'll take the Charger and see what that new Gen 3 Hemi does in the quarter. So till then, guys, appreciate you hanging out with me. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Have a great one.